Hello and welcome to Mad Dog Hobby, just a guy enjoying the hobby the only way I know how, aggressively, with coffee and a steep learning curve. Today I'm going to be painting up my Angels of Deathwatch or Kill Team Messenius using a completely new, undiscovered technique, never before seen. Unless you've seen this one Golden Demon Winners video, which statistically you have. Rough. Before we leap headfirst into the potential realms of plagiarism, I want to thank you all very much for watching. Seriously, I need your help. Can you leave a constructive comment on how I can improve these videos? Is there anything you like, or is there anything that completely destroys your will to live? Tell me all about it in the comment section. Although this scheme is inspired by Trovians' video, which I'll link below, I'll be adapting it to suit my own style, mostly because I lack the patience, but mainly the skill to paint like Trovian. I'm painting my converted Angels of Deathwatch, video linked at the end, but this time I'm learning from past mistakes, namely trying to paint more than one model once whilst having the attention span of a caffeinated squirrel. I start the undercoat stage with a 50-50 mix of AK mahogany and Rhinox hide because brown is the new black, and I like all my models to look like they've been rolling around in a tropical trench. I enjoy working up from a brown these days because all the pouches, belts and such are done after a good wash, but besides that, this will give me the base of the worn armour I'm looking for. I apply this to all the model. To finish the undercoat stage, I hit the entire model with a dry brush of Scrag Brown with a moist dry brush. To start the base coat stage, I overbrushed the left arm with lead belcher using a tiny dry brush and making sure to leave the brown undercoat in the recesses. For the cape and tabard, I use Nagaroth Knight because once I saw a picture of a Deathwatch with purple, so I want to give it a go for the captain. Now for the black armour. This is the longest part of the process. I want them to look like they've been behind enemy lines since the War of the Beast. I don't thin the paint. I want a splotchy, grimy texture, the kind that says hygiene is for craft worlds, so I leave the recesses and edges bare. Normally I skip gold on my Deathwatch because I like them to look like the cold, calculated killers they are, but Messenius is a captain, so he gets some bling. Balthazar gold goes on his power fist, belt buckle, leg eagle, cloak trim, skull and crossbones, and plasma pistol eagle. Basically anything that says commander or gift from Gilliman. I probably should have done this when painting the arm, but more lead belcher on all the dangly bits because every important Space Marine needs dangly bits. Also on the Aquila, eyepiece, plasma pistol, exhaust on the power pack and such. I don't want his colour scheme to be too warm. All the bone gets a bone colour, revolutionary, I know, then moot green on all the lenses. I then add Dawnstone to the right pauldron and Little Eagle on the knee pad ready to paint white over at a later stage, again not going all the way to the edge of the pauldron. Next, for all the contrast washes, Rattling Grime is my new favourite. It makes things look Grimdark-ish, similar to oils but without the mess. I hit the cloth, ropes, metals, but not the black armour or any bits that will be white. Next, Orc Flesh on the lenses. Yes, I know, I said a prayer and 20 praise the Emperors for this heresy. Now, Skeleton Horde on all the bones, Black Templar to all the under armour bits and any pipes. Once that is all dry, it's time for the highlight stage. Starting with the cloak, I use Nagaroth Knight thinned down to a glaze consistency. I think, I haven't mastered glazing, to get back in some colour, making sure not to go into the deep recesses. Next, I add some Xerius purple, covering a little less area than before and not really using it like a glaze, just a regular thinned down paint, taking time for 2 coats to bring up some vibrancy. For the final highlight, I used Genestealer Purple again, giving 20 praise the Emperors for the heresy, but this time I tried to add a thin line at the very top of the folds. However, it ended up looking very chalky, so in an attempt to fix the problem, I glazed a couple of layers of Xerius Purple, which got rid of the chalkiness, kind of. Next, I dry brush all the gold areas with Balthazar Gold to bring the colour back up. I dry brushed Stormhost Silver over all the silver areas, which worked very well on the pauldron, but not so well on the arm itself. I think edge highlighting instead would bring better results. I'll try this one out next time. Then I overbrushed the gold areas with oro meaning gold in Spanish, for your fun fact of the day, and I'm taking care with the flow of the paint, making sure it doesn't run into the recesses. It is an airbrush colour after all. To highlight the armour, I mix up about 50-50 of Incubi Darkness and Black and apply this as a volumetric highlight, leaving the black in the areas the sun wouldn't directly reach. I found it was okay to go quite heavy with this stage because the colour isn't too different than black, but it makes the transition to pure incubi much smoother. I'm no pro at volumetric highlights or edge highlights to tell the truth, but I pretend I am. Volumetric highlights is something I want to learn more about. I do my best to sketch these out with pure incubi darkness, and I think I'll do a pretty good job, even if the colours are very forgiving. Hopefully with practicing these steps on a few more Deathwatch will give me a better idea of light so I can push the highlight further next time, but for now I'm happy with this. To finish the armour, I break back out the Stormhost Silver to add a few edge highlights and battle damage. Now I apply about 1,000,000 coats of white to both the areas I painted with Dawnstone, plus white to the plasma coil which I forgot earlier, adding a wash of orc flesh to finish it off. I then wash the little white eagle with Agrax to help define and dirty it up a bit. The final stage before the decals is painting a red stripe on the right knee and tilt shield. I draw a line where I hope the middle of the stripe will be and slowly widen it from there. It doesn't need to be perfect because next I chip in some battle damage with black, which also helps me straighten the stripe up. I do wish I highlighted the red to make it a bit more visible, but I forgot, so another thing to keep in mind for next time. Messenius is technically a white consul, not officially seconded to the Deathwatch, but I like the name Kill Team Messenius, so canon override. The stripe I painted on his knee is for watch company Kortos, so I also cut out some fours from a GW decal sheet. I drop the decals in water to soften them up and apply a generous amount of decal fix from Viejo to all the areas that will receive them. Decal fix cleans and prepares the surface for the decal to stick to. I take the decal out of the water, slide the transfer off and apply it to the model using a brush to smoothen it into the right place, finally taking a damp paper towel to squish it down. This is when I realise that I should have used the white numbers so they show up on the model, so I take the black ones off, stick some white ones in water and apply some decal softener to the chapter symbol while I wait. Decal softener helps the transfer bond with the model, removing air bubbles and fixing it into place so it looks less like a transfer. For the weathering of the decals, I added in some chips of the 50-50 mix undercoat brown on the shoulder, blending the white in and some white chips over the blue eagle. I added some black chips over the white numbers, and with that, I'm ready to start the base. First up, I apply thick mud by Viejo to the areas of the base that aren't already sculpted. Then I paint the same 50-50 brown mix over all the soil, wash with Agrax and dry brush with Scrag Brown. Using the same paint as the undercoat stage perfectly ties the model into the environment. I paint all the other little bits and bobs and finish the base with some grass tufts. Watch Captain Messenius is done, so now it's time to show you how I painted the iconic Deathwatch bolters and capes. I use a base coat of corn red on both the capes and bolters. I do want the reds to look a little different, but I hope to achieve this with washes and highlights. So I washed the cloaks with undiluted rattling grime, and I washed the red parts of the bolters with Nuln oil. I then highlight the cloaks back up with corn red, but not the bolters. The Nuln oil is more of a shade than a contrast, so I don't need to bring the colour back up on them. To finish the cloaks, I mix 50-50 of corn red and Tuskor fur and just apply an edge highlight to the highest parts of the cloak. And to finish the bolters, I just apply a heavily thinned Evil Sun's Scarlet, not going all the way to the edge of the bolters because I want that brown undercoat to still shine through. Here's the finished squad, and I love them. The Deathwatch doesn't even have a bespoke kill team in the game that's named after them. Tyranids now do, so a faction that is not known for covert operations gets a team before the faction the game is named after. Regardless, I now have kill team Messenius consisting of the man himself, but also the rest of the kill team starting with Brother Bjorn Redmore of the Space Wolves, who is the grenadier of the team. The green stuff there looking a little like sandpaper, but it's a good starting point, I think. And I'm getting a little better at faces. I will need to start painting the eyes and mouth soon for the Emperor's sake, but not today. Then we have Brother Aquila Valen of the Nova Marines, successor of the Ultramarines, who is the gunner of the team. Brother Sergeant Gideon Kane of the Dark Angels, not technically a sergeant in this kill team, but of the Dark Angels he's a sergeant. He still needs to earn his stripes for the Deathwatch. Next we have Brother Ignar Pyros of the Fire Lords and a Salamander successor, the heavy gunner and I really like how he turned out, but I think I'll stick to green stuff to fill in the gaps in the future because the Milliput looks a bit bumpy on the Bolter shield, but one of my favourites. Now we have Brother Malric Thornvald of the Black Templars, of course an Imperial Fist successor, and Assault Intercessor. He was the easiest conversion, but I think he still looks great. And finally, Brother Drax Varin of the Raptor successor of the Raven Guard, because Raptors love their snipers, and he's a sniper. Easy. I love all the different heraldry within the same team, which really does help them seem more like knights in space. In my headcanon, Messenius is captain of Watch Company Quartos, leading of course the 4th kill team, but there are many other kill teams under his command, so perhaps I can kit bash some more kill teams and proxy them as other Space Marine teams. Let me know in the comments if you would be interested to see that. If you like weird conversions, slapdash painting, and chaotic hobby projects, hit the like and subscribe button now. More Mad Dog Hobby coming soon. Ciao.